Hello and welcome back to Let's Get the Neighbors Talking. I am Courtney
And I'm Lauren.
and we are here. We're very excited to have our guest, Crystal Singer. So Crystal is somebody we met in Solterra. As you guys, if you listened to our last podcast, we talked about our experiences at Ayahuasca. We got to meet this beautiful soul, Crystal. Great name, by the way.
And can I just tell you what led me to being so innately drawn to Crystal? So we told you about the vomitivo, right? It was a crazy experience, but Crystal was the main person cheering everybody on nonstop. And she didn't lose steam either. There was 15 of us that had to get through this. And this was the first time we were all meeting each other. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this person here is incredible.
I need to sit myself right next to her.
Exactly.
So Crystal is a board certified clinical hypnotherapist, a life coach, founder of Evolve Life Mastery, where she focuses on helping clients find self-worth and breaking through limiting beliefs to achieve their goals. I love this. She's an MIT graduate and has over 20 years of experience in the adult entertainment industry. And oh my God, she is a Jiu-Jitsu black belt. You're a badass, Crystal.
Thank you. I want to make a correction. I'm not an MIT graduate. I got a certificate from marketing from there. So I just want to clarify because I don't like misleading anyone.
not misleading. That's badass. We will figure out the details later. We are very impressed with your bio.
Thank you.
Yes. And, so Crystal cheering everybody on in the vomitivo, and also something that we really connected after ayahuasca was I learned in ayahuasca that I struggle with confidence. That was a main thing for me. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys that was on the retreat with us, he was like, oh my gosh, did you guys know that Crystal is a Brazilian black belt in Jiu-Jitsu? He was like, she could have taken us all out. And I oh my God, here I am eyeing everybody, other males, thinking I had to watch out for them. I'm like, it could have been her. So thank you so much for coming on. We are so happy to have you here.
Well, I'm honored. I feel like that's just having all these compliments is so sweet. It makes me feel like, oh, I guess I do some cool stuff. For me, it's just normal.
You do amazing things. I mean, I'm now a year into my jiu-jitsu journey, and
Yay.
I am practicing for my pink belt test, which is a women-empowered self-defense course. And I am just about to be testing for my pink belt. And I mean, I wouldn't have had the confidence without you doing it and putting yourself out there.
I love that. I have not heard of the pink belt challenge, but I love that. I've always fantasized that we would have more things that don't particularly translate just to jiu-jitsu, but I like that it's a pink belt for self-defense. That's really cute and clever. Whoever came up with that, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and they did cool. They took the top 20 attacks against women, and you learn those 20 defenses towards those attacks.
I love that.
Yeah, and they build in the traditional jiu-jitsu as well. So it's awesome.
Well, I mean, she came right home from Solterra and was like, I am signing up for jiu-jitsu. So one of the things that, you came out of your experience with ayahuasca was this anxiety, and that realizing that there was a lack of confidence was actually contributing to your anxiety. And that's where your fear was coming from. And I was like, this is a perfect way to experience that power that you needed inside to self-defense. But it leads me into you, Crystal, because you talk a lot about confidence, you talk a lot about empowerment, and you're a jiu-jitsu black belt. Tell us a little bit more about your path and your journey to get to where you are right now.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack there because I'll be 45 in May. So I've had 45 years of experiences that have led me to this moment. I had, to anybody's perspective, I had a rough childhood and grew up in a large family. We were very poor. I think growing up poor, and I mean poor, we were on government supplements. We used the free ticket lunches. And the thing about those, while I'm incredibly grateful for them, handing a ticket for your lunch, everyone sees you, and kids can be pretty awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got bullied a lot, physically, verbally. On top of that, coupled with that, I had to deal with my parents having a very public sex cult where my father was essentially having my mother fornicate with the neophytes to purify them of their whatever. I don't
Hmm.
understand it. I wasn't involved in it, but
Yeah.
it was very public. And the Mormon church I was raised with, because I grew up Mormon, was not fond of that. So we were excommunicated from the church. I was bullied at school and I was bullied at home. So I had
Hmm.
no place really to go to for solace. And I
Yeah.
ended up developing very low self-worth and uh, just constantly feeling attacked and with constant chronic anxiety that because I was getting bullied everywhere, like every corner I'd look around was like, is that mean person gonna be here? And then
Yeah.
trying to avoid it. And then when you stand up for yourself, I don't know if everyone's had this experience, but when you're getting bullied at school and, the bully does it kind of sneakily where no one can see it. And then they push your button in class and I would freak out. And then I would get in trouble because nobody saw all the bullying that was going on behind the scenes. So it was a very frustrating way to go about things. And I just felt so powerless and like just I felt like everything was out of my control. And that's the story I told myself growing up, was that everything was happening to me. I'm this victim. Woe is me. And it was really easy to have that excuse. I could point things out and go, no, look, this happened to me, that happened to me. And unfortunately, I would end up finding friends who we would just powwow about our traumas and you think you had it bad? Well, let me tell you about my trauma. And in a way that is fulfilling because you realize, okay, so many other people have these traumas, but if you're not coming up with solutions for them, it just becomes a pity party and you're not really benefiting from it. It took a couple of patterns to happen to me where I was self-sabotaging good friendships and good relationships. And the one that really was the eye-opening event for me was I had a boyfriend who treated me so great, so well, and I sabotaged it and just acted like a crazy person and eventually pushed him away to the point where he's like, get out of here, go. And that's when I realized I was doing things that were causing a lot more trouble in my life, that I was at cause for so many things in my life. I wasn't just the effect of things happening to me. I was actively creating chaos in my own life. And I turned to jujitsu for that. Well, for two reasons. One, I wanted to get my revenge bod to get my boyfriend back. Two was I needed a distraction because I didn't want to. I have in the past turned to drugs and alcohol to distract myself, and I didn't want that anymore. I, at some point in my life doing those things, I realized I hate these things. They don't actually make me feel better. They make things worse. So I needed to turn to some other healthy addiction. So I turned to fitness and excuse me. That's
It's
my
okay.
Happens.
that's
Life happens.
the boyfriend that broke up with me, who's now my husband.
Oh, oh my
Must have
God.
hurt his third brain.
That's a great plot twist.
Yep. That's amazing.
um uh I turned to jujitsu, and jujitsu was a physical version of life lessons. On the mat, I would learn Sometimes if you just are struggling, flailing around, flopping around, you're spazzing, you're not helping yourself. So you have to sometimes need a coach or a mentor to show you things to make your life easier.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things I learned. I don't know why I came up with this story in my mind that I I alone needed to solve my problems, that nobody knew what I was going through, that if I can't figure this out myself, then there's no point to life. And jujitsu, in a weird way, taught me that no, community really helps build us all up. We feed off of each other, and having a coach or mentor or students in the gym who help you out after class, like, hey, you were doing this pattern in class,
Right.
you keep getting caught in the same move, let me teach you how to adjust that.
Mm-hmm.
And I started putting this together with my real life situations, like, okay, look for the pattern, the thing that you keep getting caught in. And then the first thing is recognizing it. And
Mhm.
then the second thing is, okay, trial and error. Okay, what if I do this? What if I do that? Measuring. Now you're measuring different things. And then eventually you get it right. And then you can repeat the good pattern over and over and over again.
And create
And
new ruts like in your brain so that your instincts, like you tell me in jujitsu, so that you're changing your instinct on how you,
yeah,
and I think that's a great way to change the patterns of your brain. You do it physically, but then you're actually you're creating new brain patterns for
yeah.
your everyday life and for behaviors that and emotions.
Exactly. I found that, you have your muscle memory and you
Mm-hmm.
have your neurological memory, your neurological pathways. Like it's all
Yeah.
a
We
pathway you get.
we say that with meditation all the time. You know what I mean? It's the same, like kind of building that mental mind muscle as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So,
awesome.
and so I tell everyone jujitsu saved my life because it was my meditation. I would go
Mm-hmm.
there and I would be forced to be mindful. I would have to pay attention in class. There were times I'd go to class and my mind's going everywhere and they'd show the move and I'd go with my partner. I'd be like, okay, what are we doing? I know
Mm-hmm.
he just showed me, but I wasn't paying attention.
Mhm.
And and I got so sick and tired of being embarrassed over that and being like, I'm wasting people's time, like not paying attention here. I need to be a good partner for these people because they're great partners for me. So it's the community, and I need to be a contribution to this
Mhm.
community. So I need to start paying attention. And it forced me to focus. So I always thought I had ADHD. I'd never been diagnosed with it or anything, but I think a lot of people do this. We self-diagnose and we just say, hey, I have this
Yeah.
thing because it sounds like I have a lot of these same issues. So I labeled myself with ADHD, which I think labels, we can get into that later, but labels are horrible things. They can be great things if they're positive labels, but they
Mhm.
can be horrible things if they're negative labels. And so I had labeled myself with this ADHD and I thought I couldn't focus. And in jujitsu, I forced myself to focus. And it was a literal life and death situation at times because if you're not paying attention in jujitsu, you got a choke it coming on. If you're not paying attention to your body, you could pass out, you could get
Mhm.
injured and things. So, or you can injure your partner, which I think is one of the worst things that could
Mm-hmm.
happen, is hurting somebody else unintentionally or intentionally, which is pretty bad too. But so this
So you're just
mindfulness.
you're in the present moment, like
Yeah.
bringing yourself back to your body. Same thing with meditation,
Mm-hmm.
brings yourself into the present moment, which is really all that there is and
Yeah.
all that we can pay attention to. But what a great way to honor your body, for somebody who was bullied. I think to honor your space and time in those moments where you're bringing yourself into your body. That's a beautiful gift you gave yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I do feel that the physical bullying I dealt with as a child helped me with my jujitsu because
Mm-hmm.
I could take a, a bump or a bruise or something, and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't going, ooh, ouch, go softer,
Hmm.
which is okay if you do that as well. But I know that I accelerated because I could uh, um, channel painful sensations into, okay, well, it just happens. Let's keep going and not,
Mm-hmm.
we don't need, okay, you got a hematoma, you don't need to stop and the world won't end. You can keep going type of
Hmm.
thing.
Right.
And so the bullying definitely helps. And another thing that I learned about bullying, and I know this is controversial, but I'm blessed that it happened. It definitely built some mental fortitude in me, but it built this empathy in me that I never want to see anyone get bullied. So when I see it, I stand up for
Hmm.
people getting bullied. And so in this weird way, I understand bullying is a necessary evil kind of
Because
thing.
it brought you to where you are today. Now, let's talk a little bit. Tell us a little bit about hypnotherapy. I
Sure.
this is not actually it's not something I know
I've done it
anything
once.
about. You did? For
Hmm.
what? Just in general, or was there a purpose?
Oh, a couple years ago when I was trying to figure everything out.
Got it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So tell us a
So,
little bit about that.
yeah. So we are trained in hypnotherapy. The first method we learn is called the Krasner method. And for us to tell you what hypnosis is, we start with telling you what hypnosis is not.
Ooh,
Because a
great.
lot of people have a preconceived notion of what it is. They've seen stage hypnosis, or they've seen some television shows where they see a mentalist doing some sort of mind trick on people, or they've
Yeah.
seen the Manchurian Candidate and they go, oh my God, it's brainwashing. And it's not what people think it is. It's not turning people into zombies. It's not mind control. It's not sleep. It's what it is essentially is a relaxed state, very similar to meditation.
Hmm.
Your brain goes into the alpha state, just the same state that it goes into in meditation. Sometimes you can, I always tell people the difference between meditation and hypnosis is your intention. So typically, meditation is clearing your thoughts, observing thoughts without judgment, and a hypnosis would be more of a um, guided meditation is a form of hypnosis in a sense
Hmm.
because they're putting suggestions into you. So
Okay.
you get into this very relaxed state and we bypass your critical factor. So the critical factor part of our mind is the part that helps us shoot out information we don't want to accept, or we have trillions of bits of information coming into us at all times in forms of different energies, and our senses don't perceive every single one of them. There's just so much information that our mind kind of has to filter out things to make sense for us. So we each experience reality differently because our minds develop this different filtration system on
Right.
what reality is. And when we go into hypnosis, we get you into a relaxed state and we bypass that part of your mind. It's called the critical faculty that will normally reject things. Like, let's say you don't think you can stop eating cookies because you formed this belief. Well, that's a label, like I was talking about earlier. If we put these labels on us, it becomes a
Yeah.
belief
Right.
and
Okay.
then it becomes our reality. We can get you to a relaxed state and then bypass that critical factor and suggest to you things that would serve you better. Like
Oh, all
maybe
right.
you eat healthy foods. You choose to eat healthy foods that nourish you and do these things rather
Yeah.
than eating cookies. And, so uh, we can't, a hypnotist is just a facilitator. We just suggest things that the client wants to accept, and then they can accept it or they cannot. It's all up to them. If they don't want to, their brain has a defense mechanism within it that goes, I don't want that to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Okay, got it. So it's not like they're coming up with the suggestions and maybe you're working together first. What do you
Hmm.
want out of this? These are the suggestions. And then you're just guiding them in that direction and
Correct.
using your voice and your
Yeah.
training to help
Yes.
them absorb it.
That's exactly right. Yes.
Amazing.
It's very cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I know people have used it to heal past traumas, like go back to past traumas. And I mean, I just think it's such a powerful, holistic approach to help heal, right?
Yeah.
So how did you go? So Crystal has been in the adult entertainment industry for 20 years. How do you merge those two businesses? Do you,
With hypnotherapy
yeah,
and
and your life coaching and your adult entertainment, like I guess how did it all evolve kind of?
Like, how
good
did that
question.
flow? Which actually, now talking to you, I'm like, this all makes sense. It does. It makes sense because you're moving from a place where you're trying to build confidence.
Mhm.
I actually I did go onto your site and watch some of the fights that maybe you can tell some people about. And I was like, these people are really happy. They look like they're like enjoying themselves. They look confident. And so I guess we're just like, it makes sense to me, but I think our listeners would love to see how that evolved for you going from the adult industry
Probably has
into.
something to do with like what you said, the that you help people overcome the fear of ridicule too.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
think it's super interesting, but
Yeah.
we'd love to hear how it all came about.
Yeah, I'll try to make it a short story because when I talk, I go, I'm rambling on. So I'll try to get the bullet points here. So I grew up with a rough childhood and grew up with scarcity. And full disclosure and being honest, I got into the adult industry because I wanted to make as much money as fast as possible because that was the story I created to myself was I was getting judged anyways for sexual things that I had nothing to do with because of my parents and their religion. I was already called every name in the book while I was still a virgin. So to me, having those names called to me it just was like I didn't know what they meant. I didn't know what horrors like I don't
Yeah.
know if I can say
You
these
can say
words.
anything you want.
Mhm.
You know, any the words people say to women who are, open with sexuality. And I went into the adult industry being like, I don't care if people say these things to me. At least that's what I told myself. And then as the people started saying the things again, it hits in a different way because now you're going, oh, damn, what if it's true? What if what they're saying is true? So then because you come from trauma, every bad thing they say, you kick into your mind going, what if it's true? And that's what most of our fears come from is what if what they're saying is true? And I learned over time that I accepted other people's opinions of me because I didn't have a good opinion of myself. I didn't have self-worth and I didn't have an idea of me actually being worthy of love and all these things. And so it was really easy for me to accept whatever people would say. I would accept the good things because when you're a cute girl, you get some compliments. So then you're like, yay, you get that spike
Yeah.
of, serotonin. You're like, yay, this is great. And then when the negative comments come in, you're like, wah, wah. So it was this weird spiral of good and bad and having to discern, am I going to take this comment serious or am I going to take that not serious? When if I take the good, I got to take the bad, and wrestling with those experiences. And in the adult industry, you get so many people approaching you through DMs, emails. They see that you are being vulnerable on camera. At least that's how they take it. Like, wow, you're just showing the world everything. That's how they see it. And they decide to reach out to adult stars. This is common. This is like, I'm not special. This happens to everybody who does adult work. People flood our inboxes to tell us, you are so open and honest and vulnerable. I need to share something about myself with you. And
Hmm.
people will write out their entire life journey to you, pain points, molestation stories, abuse stories, um, PTSD, war stories. A lot of army vets are very attracted to adult film stars. There's some like affinities with this, like, hey, we have pain. Everyone thinks we have trauma. I did have trauma. Not every adult film star has trauma, but I'll be honest, the more I go to these self-help groups, I'm finding everyone has trauma. Like we have different
True.
experiences, like different events, but we have the same experience with these pains. And when we can feel that we all have similar pain points, you build rapport with people. And in 20 years of being in the adult industry, I have seen you recognize patterns. There's just this pain in the world of everyone gets anxieties about different things, but everyone has anxiety. We all have the same emotions, just different trigger points for them. And I think because of what I did, I feel, and I can't say this for a fact, but I know that people have told me things that they wouldn't even tell their therapist. When I ask them, this is above my, as a porn star, I'm like, this is above my pay grade. I can't help you. I don't know how to help you. Have you seen
Yeah.
a therapist?
Yeah.
They will confess, I don't even want to tell these things to my therapist. And I have had multiple people just tell me that my writing back to them, just being friendly or just being open, saved their lives. That they were about to knock themselves off. They said, I'm just going to write this girl. She'll probably be a bitch to me because most girls are bitches. So
Right.
I
Or she
write
probably
back to
won't
them.
reply and she's
Yeah,
probably too good for this or
yeah,
whatever. Right.
and I try to make a point to respond to everyone who sends something other than a hey, but I'll even try to write back to a hey, but I do get a lot of messages. I'm not trying to brag or
Yeah.
anything, but in 20 years you build a following, so you get a lot of messaging. And I try to write back to everyone, and I've had a handful of people say just the simple act of your kindness of your response got me off that ledge, and I want to say thank you so much. And
Oh, Crystal, it's so special to connect with people. And like you said
yeah.
at the beginning of this podcast, you know, having community and connection, that's the universe is trying to remind us of that right now, I think, at this point in time. And for you to take the time to write back every fan is, and really honestly connect, that is a gift. Is that how you ended up in life coaching?
It must have influenced it in a sense. I saw so much pain in the world. I remember there was a point in my life where I would get so many emails of people sharing their trauma. And I thought, I told this story, I told myself, I'm an empath and I'm just absorbing all this pain and it's painful for me. And now it's what about me again?
Yeah.
And then what I had to learn was it's not about me. This is a collective experience. Maybe these people just need to listen. I don't even need to fix their problem
Hmm.
at the point that I was at, just not having any certification or knowledge on, hey, I know what questions to ask you to get you to reflect on this so that you answer this. I don't give you the answers,
Hmm.
but I know what questions in what order to ask you to get you to come up with the answer. So before I learned all that, I just was absorbing these emotions from people. I mean,
Yeah.
like, this world is horrible.
Yeah. And
There's so much pain and
it
suffering.
will, and now you're a victim and you're suffering again. Because
Again,
I
yeah.
did the same thing as an empath, quote unquote, for many years. Thought that I was just absorbing these energies and then having to realize that I was in control of that. Do I want to absorb them or do I not?
Hmm.
Doesn't mean I have to ignore the person, but I can choose to have empathy with
Totally.
not without absorbing it.
Yeah,
And that's a
absolutely.
choice you make.
Exactly right. Yeah, I'm glad that you have experienced that
Took a
as
long time.
well. I try not to sound, sometimes I say things and I go, this could be taken the wrong way. Someone might get offended, but if it's can be destroyed by the truth, maybe it should be. So,
100%. That's a good lesson for you.
I know. Yeah. I feel the same way too. Like,
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
you're afraid to offend people,
always, always.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
always afraid.
to hurt their feelings.
Yep.
I'm afraid to hurt people's
Yeah.
feelings too. Who isn't? But
But it's a weird thing. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't want to be monsters to people. We don't want to intentionally like cause someone to second guess themselves or lose confidence. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same point, we can't walk on eggshells because someone will be offended by something we say.
Exactly. It's a fine balance.
Balance. Everything in life
Yeah.
is a balance, I think.
Absolutely.
what do you see being some of the main factors you see that holds people back from like being their best self or going and having the confidence they need? Like, do you
And-
see trends?
Because in your industry, you have to have confidence. Like,
Yeah, I'll give you my opinion, my experience, and I think all issues come from a lack of self-worth.
Mm.
Whether it's you and there's like tiers of lack of self-worth, right? You can have someone who's at the very, very bottom who wants people to do bad things to them because they think they deserve, getting beaten or peed on or whatever the things.
Mhm.
And they just think, okay, that's all I'm worth. You could have that level all the way up to somebody who's really, really successful, but they're just not willing to take that risk of changing the career just a little bit because they're comfortable.
Mhm.
And I think everything comes down to a self-worth. Like, people don't think they're worthy of something better. And to fix it, I think it needs to be done incrementally. I don't personally know anyone maybe that has gone from that bottom rung and just jumped up to all the way up to the top. I think you have to climb it rung by rung.
Yeah.
And building confidence happens with trial and error. You got to, test a little bit, go outside your comfort zone little by little and see, and then observe your emotions. Like, why am I scared of doing this? Why didn't I want to post on social media today? Fear of ridicule. What am I afraid they're going to say? They're going to say I'm XYZ. Of course, someone will say these things. You can't prevent people from people have free will. They're going to say what they're going to say.
Right.
It's up to you to just handle that differently. We can't control anything happening external from us. All we can do is handle how we react to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the power comes in. And we can choose our identity, essentially. I know that sounds crazy, but you can decide. You look at all your mentors, all the people that you look up to, and you can pick and choose parts of them that you love. And then you can say, I'm going to be like that. I'm going to be like that. I'm going to be like that. And build your self-worth up by knowing what you want. Once you know what you want, everything else in life is easy.
That's the magic.
Mm-hmm.
Know what you want.
Getting to what you want can be a challenge. Getting to know what you want is sometimes really hard, but I also think it could be very simple, right? I want a peaceful
Yeah.
life.
A
I
lot of
want to
people,
contribute to society. It doesn't have to be something specific.
it doesn't have to be majorly specific,
Mhm.
but it has to be something you do want. A lot of people, when they talk about, their goals, they can tell you everything they don't want. I don't want an annoying boss. I don't want to be a slave to time. I don't, they can tell you all the things they do not want. You're like, great, got it. What do you want? God, and that's when there's a self-worth issue, when they struggle on not knowing what they do want, because I think they don't believe they're worthy of that. They're like, can I have that? Oh, they're almost getting anxiety, fantasizing about something they could have or that they want, but they don't think they're worthy of it.
Yeah, they don't
And
think
that's
they deserve it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why they struggle with telling you exactly what they do want, but they can tell you everything they don't want because that
Hmm.
somehow is like, well, okay, that nobody wants that. So I don't want that. And since everybody is the same way, then I'm not special. I'm not, I'm not deserving of anything special. I just don't want the things that everyone else doesn't want. So
And I think, is there an embarrassment too? Like when you say what you want to somebody else or even yourself, and you're like, well, I guess it's that I'm not worthy, but
Yeah.
it's almost embarrassing to be like, I want this, because then you're telling that person you're worthy of it, you can have it, you're good enough,
You deserve it.
you deserve it. And for some reason, I think especially as women, we were told to just kind of shrink back. Don't ask for what you want. Don't say you deserve these things. You're supposed to just take what's been given to you and
Times are
be
changing.
appreciative of it. Yeah, but I think as a little kid, you were just supposed to be happy with what you got. And I
yeah,
think that that's changed so much in the past 20 years. Even, seeing our daughters, like, they
Yeah.
don't give a shit.
Yeah,
They will ask exactly what they want, and they know it, and they think they
good.
are definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Good. I
So
love that. You
I
did a great
know
job raising them.
we're doing our best over here, Crystal.
Yeah.
We're doing our best.
That's all you
Uh,
can do. Do our best. And then
I
when you can do better, do better.
I love that.
I do too.
I love
Maya
that.
Angelou.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a fan. You know what? You have inspired us, and I hope that everybody out there is feeling as inspired as we are. You can visit Crystal on Instagram. We will give, like, if there's any links you want us to have to put in our show notes, Crystal, we can do that. We can mention Crystal is co-authoring in a chapter in a book.
Yeah. What's the book
on
about? Tell us more about the
confidence.
book.
The book is there's 20 neuro-linguistic programming experts who are
Wow.
co-authoring this book. I get one chapter of the book, and the title of the book is The Courage to Win. So each of us, I haven't read the other 19 chapters, but they're about overcoming obstacles or finding a way to just persevere through thick and thin and keep going. And despite whatever stories we've had in the past, keep moving forward type of things.
Amazing.
Love that.
Same.
We can't
Amazing.
wait to read it. It comes out in May. Is that
May
right?
19th,
May
yes.
19th. Great.
Fantastic.
Well, Crystal, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy, badass schedule. We really appreciate it. And
Thank
we're
you.
going to keep following along on your journey and cheering you on from over here.
I'll do the same for you, ladies. I love all the energy you're putting out there. It's such good, positive vibes. Thank you for doing what you do.
Aw,
I'm honored to be along here with you.
thank
Yay.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
All right, everybody, please continue to follow us on your favorite podcast platform. It helps you get notified when we release a new podcast. And Lauren's looking at me because it's time to say goodbye. Thanks, everyone.